Yo, what's going on? My name is Mike, and you are watching The Sports Dope. I eventually plan on ripping the audio from this and throwing it on a podcast, but I don't have a website to generate what I need to generate to have a podcast. It's coming though, it's in the works. I'm hoping it'll be done soon. But for now, I'm just going to be putting stuff on YouTube in long form, and I also am posting sports betting picks and lineups and whatnot on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow there at that sports dope. That's that sports dope, not the sports dope. And the reason for that is because people come up with names and they don't do anything with them, and then they just wallow there for 10 years. So that was kind of frustrating. Like, not even one post. At least put a couple things out there. Like, when I give up on this after this season, because I don't know, I have 4 fucking followers and the shit, whatever. But I'll at least give it a whirl, and you'll at least see some content when you look up at that sports dope. When you come up with the name and you're like, fuck, some guy has it. You won't see no tweets, right? But anyway, when all that stuff goes down, I will, be the first to inform you. So follow me there, Twitter and Instagram. And so what I'm going to be talking about today is daily fantasy lineups. I'm sure you guys are, if you're watching this, it's probably Sunday morning. You're wondering who the fuck to put in there. So you're out there and you're just searching, maybe scouring YouTube, looking for some shit, and you stumbled upon this somehow. So thank you very much for staying tuned. But so there's 2 schools of thought that I like to implement when I'm putting together a daily fantasy lineup. It's who am I playing against, right? So if you're playing the Millionaire Maker, you're playing against a fucking 250,000 people or however many fucking people join that thing. So you got to get really weird with your lineup in order to be out there. Like, I played it last week and I was looking at who won, and they all had like the 49ers defense. The 49ers defense was historically bad last year. So for you to put them in there week 1 against what's supposed to be like a phenomenal attack like Tampa Bay, which was terrible, but then they were good on Thursday night and I actually picked them. So if you were following me then and you followed that was smart move. But anyway, bold move. So you got to have a couple of bold moves in your lineup if you're playing the Millionaire Maker. But if you're playing with like 20 of your jerk off friends, you only need like one or 2 bold moves, and you could probably, if they pay off, you should pull ahead of the pack, because everybody's going to be out there with like the big dogs, right? So you kind of got to pick some of the big dogs in order to stay with them, because the big dogs are going to do what the big dogs do, right? But you also got to have some weird shit in there, right? So let's dive into some of these lineups here, and the first one I'm going to go through is the Millionaire Maker one. So I'm starting this off, and I'm getting weird right off the fucking bat, right? Getting weird right off the bat. I'm going to start a quarterback who didn't even start a game yet. Never started a fucking game. But he got in there, and he played pretty well. He kept his team somewhat in it. And that's Gardner Minshew, right? This guy's a fucking maniac. He's out there with his handlebar mustache, just fucking swagger coming out of his fucking pants. I don't even care. I think this guy is going to be pretty fucking wild, and he's going against the Houston defense, who I don't have too much trust in, right? I'm not big on the Saints this year, and the Saints kind of shredded them up pretty good. They got a ton of options out there. They're not great options, but they have a lot of average options, and Fournette should be able to keep the chains moving, so he'll have a lot of opportunities. I think it should be pretty much of a shootout. And, sneak peek into the NFL picks that I'm going to be putting out. I like Jacksonville in the game. So for $4,800, I'm putting Gardner Minshew in my lineup. Next, I'm going to go with one of those big dogs. I don't really have to talk too much about it. His name's Alvin Kamara. You know him. It's going to be a high-scoring game out there. And I don't trust Drew Brees' arm. So he's going to be throwing a lot of short shit. And some of that stuff is going to be going to Kamara. So it's PPR. He's going to rack up the catches, rack up the yards, and he's even going to run the ball a fucking ton. So Alvin Kamara is a guy that I'm putting in my lineup for $8,200. Next up, Austin Eckler. Yo, fuck Melvin Gordon. He must be sitting at home in a pile of shit, just fucking pissed off that this is what's going on. Because Austin Eckler, he fucking killed it last week. And they're going into Detroit. Detroit, they didn't fucking look great. And you know what? David Johnson caught a shit ton of passes. You know what Austin Eckler does? He catches a shit ton of passes. Once again, I just said PPR, right? A full point. You're going to rack up some shit with Austin Eckler there. So I think that's a good pull. $6,100, by the way. After that, I'm going with Adam Thielen. So the Packers defense, they look good. And the offense is going to be better. I have to think it's going to be better. So this is going to be a high-scoring game. I feel like it's going to be a high-scoring game, even though both of these defenses are what people are talking about. And so I think Adam Thielen is going to catch a shit ton of balls. Kirk Cousins only threw the ball 10 fucking times because Dalvin Cook was running around like a maniac against the Falcons defense. They can't fucking tackle anybody. So he only had to throw it 10 times. He's going to have to throw it more than 10 times, maybe 25 times. And guess what? If you extrapolate the fucking data, Adam Thielen, he had a touchdown catch in the 10 passes. 20 passes, maybe 2 touchdown catchers. Who knows? 25 passes? Who the fuck knows? Maybe another one. I think Adam Thielen's going to have a big game this week at Green Bay. Now, I like to stack lineups, right? So if you got a quarterback, I always like to pick a receiver for the quarterback. And like I said, Jacksonville receivers, they're all okay, but he's got a lot of okay. One of the guys who was really okay was DJ Chark. I think he's going to have a big game in Houston. He's out there in my lineup for $4,500. So next up, third wide receiver slot. I like Tyrell Williams, the Oakland Raiders. No Antonio Brown. He's the number one guy. He had a fucking nice game, 25 points. A nice game was an understatement. In the first week. And they were playing a somewhat respectable defense. This week, Kansas City's coming to town. They're going to be throwing the ball all over the fucking place. So Oakland's going to have to throw the ball all over the fucking place to try and keep up with them. And who's going to catch it? Tyrell fucking Williams, right? So Tyrell Williams in my lineup for $4,400. Next up, we got the tight end slot. We're going with Mark Andrews from Baltimore. He had a great game the first week. Sure, he showed up on the injury report, but all reports say that he's going to play. Got Arizona coming to town. They're going to just do what they did last week. They're going to run around the fucking defense and then play action it every once in a while and throw it to the tight end, running right down the middle of the field. Who's that tight end? Mark Andrews, $3,800. So I got a bit of money to spend left, right? I still got some cash in the wallet. Taking another big dog for the flex spot. I like Zeke this week. I didn't mean for that to rhyme. It did. That was an accident. But I like Ezekiel Elliott in Washington. He's got another week of practice under his belt when he was fucking done drinking all the Mai Tais in Cabo, hanging out, acting like he was working out, but not really probably. But now he's back. He's getting back into form. They're going to go there. They're going to try and control the clock. They're going to run the ball down the throats of the Redskins, and they're going to win that game. Next up, I got a cheap defense, right? I only had $2,400 left to spend. I got a cheap defense, but I think it's going to be a good one. And I think they were cheap by accident because the Patriots made them look like assholes last week. I'm talking about the Steelers. The Seahawks did not look fucking good, right? Sure, they could run the ball a little bit, but Pittsburgh has a better front seven than they let on last week. And the Seahawks offense did not look great. Not great at all. Like, if it wasn't for the running game, they would, like, there was just nothing going on down there. DK Metcalf was all right. TJ Lockett, he only had one catch. It was a touchdown, but still. I think Pittsburgh is a team that could show up on defense this week, home opener, after getting smoked. So, that's for the Millionaire Maker lineup, right? You got a couple of fucking wild cards out there. Gardner Minshew and the Jacksonville pass offense stack right there. It's pretty wild. Tyrell Williams, I think he's a medium wild pick. The Steelers defense is that's another interesting play, I think, too. So I think between that, there's enough variance that you're not going to fall into like a pack of people who have that entire fucking lineup. Now, if you're playing with your friends, you got to get a little... You don't have to get as cute, right? You got to kind of stay with everybody, but just have just enough different to separate yourself from the pack, right? So I'm going to do it at the quarterback position again. And I'm going to go with Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford shredded the Cardinals defense. Jacoby Brissett shredded the Chargers defense. The Chargers are going to score. Matthew Stafford's going to have to keep up with them. They're going to throw the ball. The run game didn't look great. Stafford has a ton of receivers. He's got a ton of options out there. Matthew Stafford, $5,200. There you go. After that, I got two guys that I wasn't keen on drafting in my week-long leagues, or my season-long leagues, rather. But I think they're going to have good games today, and they're both fucking just big, thick fucking running backs. They just barrel through shit. They both have the same price. That's why I'm talking about them at the same fucking time. And that's Mark Ingram hosting Arizona and Derrick Henry hosting Indy. They're going to, both of those teams, first of all, Baltimore's going to destroy them. It's going to be, like, I'm not big on Baltimore, but Baltimore will beat the shit out of bad teams. But I think they're going to have a tough time with good teams. So, Arizona, bad team. Going on the road, flying cross country, bad situation. And when you're up big, if you're a gentleman, and Harbaugh's not really a gentleman, fucking fake punting against Miami, you know, when they're up like 35-7 already. But Ingram's going to get a lot of touches. Don't worry about the injury. He's going to play. Full participant in practice. Ingram and Henry, $6,000. Henry, same thing. Their team's going to want to run the ball. He was the star of the show in Cleveland. Mariota was fucking lucky. They're going to keep feeding him the rock until his fucking legs fall off. I mean, that dude is a monster. And I wasn't big on either of them. But, you know, just watching them both, they look fantastic this week. So here's going to be my wild card, right? First wide receiver up, Randall Cobb. I watched the Giants game. I'm a Giants fan. And he was just at every corner, like everywhere. Whenever there was, like, the Giants never got pressure, but whenever there was, like, not even pressure, but Dak got bored back there, he was like, oh, I guess I'll just throw 5 yards to Randall Cobb. And I'm not saying that he's going to be that bored this week, but he might get a little more pressure this week. And Randall Cobb seemed like a safety valve. He's, like, just a perfect fucking safety valve for him. Even though Witten's there, Randall Cobb is a better Witten. Like, he's just going to be, oh, you know, hey, 3-2-1, somebody's coming at me, or 3-2-1, yeah, the guy's not super, Amari's not super open downfield, or Gallup's not super open midfield. All right, I guess I'll throw it to fucking Randall Cobb at 6 yards. He's going to have like 10 catches for like 80 yards. And guess what? That's fucking 18 points. That's pretty solid for a $4,500 price tag. Next guy up in my lineup, Robert Woods. It's going to be a high-scoring game. We talked about that before. I got Kamara in the other lineup. And spoiler alert, he's coming up later in the flex spot. But Randall Cobb, Robert Woods, $6,400. Not that bad of a price to pay for somebody who's going to catch a shit ton of balls. And guess what? The fucking Houston Texans, they just shredded the New Orleans defense. They're not looking as good as they used to. So I think there's going to be a lot of scoring in this game, and at the very least, he's going to catch a shit ton of balls. He might not get in the end zone, but I think he's a good bet. I'm going back to the Detroit and Chargers game here, and I'm taking Keenan Allen for $7,600. Like I said, I think the Chargers are going to score, and when they do through the air, it's going to be Keenan Allen. Hunter Henry's hurt, so that's one less target, and Keenan Allen has been Phillip Rivers' favorite guy for fucking years now, so there's no reason to change. And you're probably sitting there wondering, like, oh my God, you fucking said you like to stack quarterbacks with people, and you don't have somebody, and you said Kamara was going to be in your flex spot, so who are you stacking with Matthew Stack? TJ fucking Hawkinson, that's who. $3,000. Dude was a monster last week. There's no reason to think that San Diego's defense without Derwin James is magically going to be able to stop a tight end. It's just not going to happen. And like I said, the flex spot, Alvin Kamara, $8,200. Again, going to be a ton of scoring in that game. I wanted a piece of both sides. So I got Woods and Kamara in this one. This is the one with your buddies. This is where you got to just, like, you know, keep pace, but be a little bit weird with Stafford and Hawkinson. Just a little bit off kilter, just to throw people off. Find something that you know that your friends aren't thinking of. And then, oh yeah, lastly, defense. So, Yeah, the Vikings look great. They did. Nobody's gonna deny that. And the Bears, they looked terrible. Now, was it Mitchell Trubisky just being terrible? The Bears offense just being terrible? Or was it because the Packers have a new defense? And yeah, Kirk Cousins played in Washington, so he's used to the outside. And yeah, it's not super cold yet. But it's a different feel. It's a different fucking everything. And it's a bigger game. Kirk Cousins doesn't fucking show up in big games. I like the Packers defense. $3,100. So there you go. Those are two lineups. One for your buddies. One for the Millionaire Maker or any other big fucking, big contest that you're trying to jump in. But that's it. I appreciate you watching it if you did. And if you didn't, you know who you are. But let's get paid. Let's get some fucking money from these guys. I'm going to be coming out with some NFL picks here shortly, so check back on the YouTube channel. Later.